right. Haere everyone, and welcome to the Heart Place Hospital podcast. I'm Jackie, the founder and host of the Heart Place Hospital podcast. And today I'm super pleased to introduce you to today's guest, Kathy Shaw, who we've known each other for a wee while now. And you're a registered nurse, a supervisor, a life coach who brings deep wisdom, heart, and tools, including things like havening, a beautiful, gentle, somatic trauma healing modality that many of our service providers are supporting people with. You love to support women to come home to themselves. And in this episode, we're going to explore why so many healthcare workers delay their own healing and how we can shift that culture with some compassion and with courage and with guidance. And we share these conversations as part of our Heart Place Hospital care plans. So I love being able to share them just as we launch them, but also share them along the ways to people to visitors that come into Heart Place and show them the type of service providers that we have who are generally, like you, Kathy, have multidimensional aspects to offer. So your wisdom, your healthcare knowledge, you've been through several transitions in your life. That's what we're all about at Heart Place Hospital, is providing that gentle care or that bridge between those who are falling between the cracks when they're transitioning, that don't necessarily need to be pathologized or medicalized, but need a little gentle soul to walk alongside them. So welcome to the Heart Place Hospital podcast, Kathy.
Thanks for having me, Jackie. This is a really exciting move in my career to be coming on board with your team. It's been really special. Thank you.
Yeah, and it's lovely to have you too. And so I guess where we start at the beginning, like a little bit of speed dating. What's led you to where you are now? It'd be lovely for our listeners to hear your journey to now.
Lovely. Well, I've been a nurse for a very long time. I trained way back in the 80s and spent time working in the clinical area right up until I think my last child was born, and he was born in the late 90s. And then I moved into education roles and leadership roles. And it wasn't really until my last position where I'd moved into work in a private hospital, and I was working in a role that I just did not feel like it was me. It just was not what I really wanted out of my work. That I'd kind of think that I'd been in roles that had given me the opportunity to coach and mentor so many younger nurses and nurses that were going through changes like studying, and really missed those aspects of the work that I'd done previously to this role. So I was having this sort of real difficult transition. It was around about my early 50s, and I was just like, oh, this is not what I want to be doing forever. So I thought, what can I do next? And it was actually someone that I had mentored for many years, who I'm still very, very good friends with. And she said to me, Kathy, you should become a coach. And I went, oh, that's exactly what I want to do. And I thought, because that was just the stuff I was really missing in the role that I was doing. And so I took the very brave step of leaving a well-paid job and started my business. And that was 2019. And gosh, then things just really changed for me. So 2020, of course, we all know was a really difficult year for a lot of us. So I'd not long started my business, and I was just trying to really get things off the ground, and then COVID hit, and it's like, oh, okay. So did have to do a little bit of a switch around and work out how to see clients online, and as we all had to, we learnt things on the run. And I just think that, the ability to be able to work from home, which I have done ever since, has just been fantastic for me. And the work I do, I absolutely love. I'm so passionate about it. And, I don't know, it fills me up just as much as when I'm finishing a session, especially when I'm finishing a havening session, people often say to you, how do you feel after that? And I go, I just feel so amazing. It's just so uplifting to do the work that you and I do with people.
Yeah, amazing. I'm curious about the havening. How did that kind of come into play? When did that sort of light bulb moment come for you to add in like a somatic, more trauma supported modality?
It's actually really interesting how I came about it. It was 2022, and I heard Robin Youngson speak on a podcast. And I'd had known a lot about Robin and his work in compassionate care, because when I'd taught for the University of Auckland, I'd often talked about his work and the patient-centered care that he wrote a lot about in the basically in the 2000s after his daughter had quite a nasty accident. It was in hospital for a long time. So I think that is where I'd always had knowledge of Robin's work, and I thought, oh, Havening. Oh, because I think sometimes when people are coming to see me for coaching, there's some very, very deep beliefs that sit in that very, reptilian brain. And sometimes it's just really difficult to unpack that with talk. So the somatic processes that we use in havening really get in and unpack whatever is really deep in that brain that's hard to really get into, isn't it? As a coach or a therapist. And so I wanted to add that really into my toolbox, I think, because I'd seen people in my coaching practice that had experienced significant trauma, and I thought, how do I help these people? Yet, amazingly, some of the people I was seeing were incredibly successful in spite of what they'd been through.
Amazing.
I just would be like, oh my goodness, how have you survived this?
Yeah. I think that there's so much in this, but I mean, first of all, is I think we know now that happy thoughts and pedicures aren't enough, particularly if we've come from healthcare roles. And often people who go into healthcare roles have had some sort of event for them to think, oh, I'm going to go there and fill a void that I had. Certainly with my I've talked about that a lot with my story, is come from being a heart kid and then really wanted to go into healthcare because I loved all the nurses, and but I'd never really, I still was holding on somatically holding on to within my body a lot of stories, and had a lot to unpack. So it's certainly Havening has been a beautiful, gentle, I think is a really good description for it. Way to dismantle, and I always bring this up when we do healing work, when we dismantle those amazing parts of us that have helped us survive. Like you said, some of these people have been ridiculously successful.
Successful.
Yeah.
And almost like overdriven in a sense.
Yeah. I'm one of them. Yeah, no surprise, I'm one of them. But I love that part of me because that's what's now driving me to create this change. And I think the other thing that I really wanted to highlight was that you had heard the story and it resonated with you, and so then you felt called to seeking more, to be curious. And this is what I love about these short, sharp podcasts that we can share. People can go, oh, Kathy, that's resonant to me. I'm 50 and I'm feeling something, but gosh, leaving a well-paid job, that sounds seriously scary. But Kathy did it, and it's she's been able to sustain it. So, and this is a lot of listeners are coming through who have been guided into healthcare roles. This is predominantly who we see everybody, but predominantly we see a lot of healthcare and educators who come in, and then they're like they're showing up with burnout. They're showing up with mental decline or physical decline, and this is on repeat. I say, our environments and our experiences manifest what our physical and mental reality is. So this is when you can come in with that multidimensional aspect of some mindset, some goal sets, some your experience, your wisdom,
And I think, when you start off on a coaching journey like we both have,
Yeah.
that whole concept of what's gone before, what's coming with us. And I remember doing my course and they talked about your 10,000 hours of life experience that you bring into being a coach with people and being able to just sit there and listen and help them to understand that they have everything within them that they need. And it's really just about helping them recognize that. And a perfect example, actually bringing in the burnout that you talked about just then, is I had a client with me yesterday who's a most beautiful nurse, and she's at that burnout point. And she said, this is not my first experience of it. This is not my first rodeo. And she said, I'm here again. And she said, I'm going to leave my job. And I thought, oh, that's a very brave move to make, but that's obviously what's important for her. But she knows what's next. She's already scheming and got amazing ideas for what she wants to do. And she wants to take what she's really passionate about and develop that into something. And that just fills me up with joy, because that's showing that you can actually leave those jobs that obviously pay you well and, keep the mortgage payments going, or whatever you have to do, and then explore what's next for you and take what you're really passionate about and then develop it into something.
Yeah. And then and you do this too, and you've done it yourself, and I've done it myself. And as we can hybrid as we transition as well. So keep hold of a little bit of a job that's secure and we're familiar with, and then grow our sort of purpose work, which is beautiful in the nervous system. And then you couple it with something like Havenine or any of the other modalities that we share. It really does help you step through that fire and back out the other side. Yeah. Yeah.
You're so right. And I love supporting women and that whole concept. And I actually don't just work with women, I work with men. Yeah, it's funny. It's almost like you attract a certain type of person, I think, into your practice. And I would say they're all empaths, whether they're female or male.
Sure. Yeah.
They're highly empathetic, and and they've just gravitated to me because I think, that's what I would resonate out back to them.
Yes. Yeah.
But she said to me at the end of our conversation yesterday, she said, I wouldn't have been able to do this without working with you. And I thought, that's really, really affirming to hear that.
Yeah.
That I have opened up that gateway for you to move through into what's next for you. And having the confidence to do that is important.
I love that.
Yeah.
And it's interesting because I've kind of switched my language from coach, although my role now is philanthropist, raising awareness in the funds so that we can hyper normalize this type of care. But I feel like it's like a strategy partnership. You're walking alongside someone, and she's actually getting the downloads and the directions, and you can be in partnership agreement along the way with her. Yeah. Yeah.
So true. And I love that word partnership, because I think that's a word that we know a lot about as nurses.
Yeah.
We've worked in partnership with all the people that we've worked with over our nursing lives. And really that carries beautifully over into our business lives as well.
Yeah, I agree. Something I've really noticed, and it was in my human design, and it was a big one for me to transition through, was that that the visitors that come through Heart Place Hospital actually are like friends, whereas when I was working within the system, there was a big boundary. There was no kind of like, there was only one part of you that you could show up. Whereas I find now with Heart Place Hospital, the lines that we're blurring, are that our visitors, we can actually have a relationship with. And then like you've been here in the early days to Heart Place Hospital, and now so many visitors end up becoming service providers and provided service, but they always stay as visitors. So all the content that I share and there's lots of it, and it's all freely available. And then also the service providers will come back and say, actually, you know what, I'm going through a transition now. Who would you suggest would be a good fit for me? And beautiful thing is that because our service providers have got the memo that they have to look after themselves so that they can look after others, whereas that memo is not so much in the systems, in the old systems, is that as soon as, you know, there's a tap on the shoulder or maybe a 4x4 in the back of the head, but certainly not a Mack truck moment anymore, they're like, actually, I need to take some action and I need to get myself a wee strategy partnership going on too, because I'm feeling a transition happening. And I know you and I are transitioning ourselves. I'm transitioning into what I call the bird launch. So my children are leaving the nest. And you've just beautifully transitioned into the grandmother archetype.
I know.
Yeah.
How long? And yeah, I was explained to you before we came on together, is it's a definitely another transition. Like I've definitely noticed in my thinking where, you know, oh, what's this feel like for me? And I was really lucky to spend 10 days down in Wellington with my beautiful Nate, who is a bonny 4.2 kg boy. And his mother, Georgia, who's my daughter-in-law, has just done the most amazing job with him. And my son is amazing too, which is really awesome, I think, as a parent, to see that you have raised this beautiful son who now is adoring his beautiful little boy as well. And fills you up. It's just that gorgeous feeling.
Yeah.
And just me being able to be there and help them and bring in some of my old wisdom, you know, from my own my own baby nursing days, and also having my own children was really, really special for me.
Yeah. Oh, how wonderful. I love it. And as it's meant to be, right? As the wise woman, that's our role. Yeah. Yeah, you're right. How amazing that you've created a freedom within your life that you've been able to have that 10 days. Yeah. Some people don't get that. Yeah.
I know. And I was thinking about this as well, you know, that the flexibility in having my own business and being able to go down there. And I'm going back, you know, I've got another, and when he's going to be 6 weeks old, I'll be back for another couple of nights, and always planning ahead for those, like, time that I can spend with him, because it's special. I want to be a nanny that's known to him.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah.
I wonder if you could share, like, you know, if someone's listening now who, you know, who like the lady yesterday who's kind of now navigating a transition, if there's anything you could share with them around things that they can do, you know, I mean, of course, you know, we can connect them, but some other things, some other kind of tools that they can put in their tool belt, or a little bit of cheerleading that we can share with them through your experience with working with others.
It's having the confidence to actually reach out in the first place, to understand that it's coming to see someone like us is an experience where you will come out the other end with so many new skills without actually I'm trying to think of the words that I want, without having to do a tremendous amount of work. I guess the sense is that everybody has everything they need within them.
Yeah.
And coming to see someone like me as a coach, or even for supervision, which I do a lot of, I'm really just delving into what they already have, all the tools that they already have, and allowing them to recognize that everything they have is within them.
Yeah.
And we are just going to walk this journey together and come out the other side and feel so much more comfortable within your own skin.
Beautiful. It's like a portal, isn't it? You sort of walk in and then come out the other end, and that's certainly why I created Heart Place Hospital, is because there is statistics that show people who are the help don't ask for help, and it's significant. It's about 80% of people, due to stigma, won't actually ask for help. And I know the system how is very much, next in line. You get the person next in line, whereas at Heart Place Hospital, we're very bespoke and we'll meet people where they're at. And if it is, if they're needing self-care and mindset work, we'll meet them there. But if they're needing, they're ready for some energetic release, which, as we know, is gentle. It's gentle. It's not what we see on TV where it's long and arduous and rehashing the story. But then the beautiful thing is when you come out that portal, you've unpacked and you've dismantled and you've let go of some of those amazing, awe-inspiring body has given us these adaptations, but they're no longer needed. And underneath comes this real light body and it's almost like your shoulders drop, you have this big aha moment, and then you're just like, no, it was for me, I know it was for you. I was like, everybody's got to know about this.
They might.
No, why isn't everyone talking about this? This is amazing. Yeah.
Well, I know that I tend to work with a lot of people pleasers, and I think that's, as a nurse, you're conditioned to be that way because that's just what nursing kind of has been. I'm not saying that it needs to be that way into the future, but that whole concept of you might actually be better off saying no to things and allowing yourself to say yes to other things. There's a big proportion of that. And I also talk a little bit about Gabriel Mate's work and that women are showing up. Like 80%, he says, of autoimmune conditions in women are related to the stress that they have incurred over their lives. And to me, that is seriously scary. And what can we do to help women so that they don't experience those conditions?
Yeah. Yeah, you're looking at a recovered people pleaser. Shifts would come out and I'd be like, yeah, because I'd feel bad for my colleagues. And so I'd go and do another shift when really I needed to rest and recover and repair. So I could be at my best on the next shift. So yeah, we do see it, but that's what's beautiful to be modeled and have examples of others who can actually show up and say, actually, I'm choosing me for the we.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It's important that if you are focusing on yourself and what you need, then you're better. You're going to show up way better for whoever else you're going to be dealing with.
Yeah, yeah.
And then it's about prioritizing you.
Yeah, and you brought out Robin Youngson and his compassionate care model, and he scientifically proved that the time he spent with compassionate time with patients, and they had less medication and they experienced less time in hospital. So it's actually proven. I've proven it time and time again in my practice too, and it doesn't make sense from what the messages we've been told. It makes no sense, but the science is there because we are sharing, and it comes back to partnership. When we're in that fixing, helping mentality, we're actually giving off our energy, we're leaking our energy. When we're of that service partnership, we're both receiving energy.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. And I think that's the difference, is that we create that space for that relationship to happen.
Yeah. And just like you said, when they leave and you can see them and you can see this energetic shift, then you receive an energetic shift.
And you do. Absolutely.
Yeah. And so then you can show up for the next person, and then because you're so in tune, when the energetic shift changes to being lower, then you've got that freedom to go, actually, I'm going to block some time out, and I know spending time with my Nate fills me up, and that's my priority.
Yeah, exactly. Beautiful. And this afternoon, it's a beautiful day. Blocked out my diary. I'm off for a walk in the bush.
Yeah, I love it.
Just things like that I know that I need, or I make sure I have more than I need, is that
Desire. I like to say desire.
desire is a much nicer word. I actually don't. Need is not a word I want to use in my vocabulary because it's that modal operator of thinking, and it's like I work with clients to take that out of their language, and I say use can, will, have. Those words that are much more accepting to our brain. But back to that that shift in energy. I'll have so many people leave here, and as we're walking down and out the front door, it's like, oh, I feel so much lighter. I'm like, oh, I've heard that before. And because that's that energetic shift. They've come here, they've had some focus time on themselves, they've relaxed, they're leaving feeling a lot more filled up.
Yeah, yeah. Just on that, using that word energetic, because a lot of people think it's a bit woo-woo and out there. And so what I tend to explain to people is as they're starting to remember that their body is a barometer and that they can use it as, emotions and feelings as a messenger, as well as pain as a messenger, all those things as a messenger. And I say, we don't see oxygen, but we trust that there's oxygen. So just because we don't see energy, and interestingly, I'm just going to make a point, some people are seeing energy these days, actually seeing energy. So I just want to add that in for those who are starting to see things. And so it does take a little bit of practice. And I tend to say to people, I've got heaps of trust and faith in it. You can borrow some of mine until yours gets built up. But I promise as you stay in the community of Heart Place Hospital, then you will see these energetic shifts and you can just tap in and out as you need a top up as the evolution occurs. Yeah.
I've got a friend, Claire, who she actually does supervision with me, and she's also a Havening practitioner, midwife, nurse, so she's got the full bag there. And she talks about when she's talking about working with the three brains and especially trying to get into that reptilian brain, she talks about wound care. So you and I know about wound care. So when a scab goes over the top, sometimes the wound hasn't healed underneath. And so, we actually really have to think about wound healing as the same as the brain. So when we get into the healing from the bottom, which is the reptilian brain, and sorting any of the beliefs that are sitting down in there, then the other brains like your limbic and your prefrontal cortex, everything sort of comes up and heals.
Yeah.
So she uses that a lot with her clients. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a lovely image to
and I guess because I work with a lot of healthcare nurses, that they'll understand that as a bit of a metaphor for how healing works.
Yeah. And the thing is, people who have been directed into the caring roles, whether it's healthcare, education, or non-traditional caring, they're generally the wounded healer anyway. They've come into this world as the wounded healer. So which is a big role. It's a big role. And I say to people, it's only it's big energies that are chosen for this role. And because we're sovereign beings, because we've got free will, we can choose to act out that wounded healer, or we can choose to alchemize that wounded healer and then do what people like you and I have done, and all the service providers we've done. They've gone, actually, you know what, I've learnt from my wounded healer, and I want to support others so that they don't have to be so crunchy for so long. Yeah,
it's absolutely right, and there's just such a need for it.
Such a need. I just want to talk about that need because we've been very, very conditioned into that the system will help us, that the government will save us, and we now got to the point now where our needs outweigh the resources that we've got. So this is really, really important that we start taking radical responsibility. And that's why I love telling these stories, so that it can show up and say, hey, me too, had a massive burnout, colossal, did it all, you name it. I was there. It was ugly, messy. I was crawling on the ground. I was as rough as it could be. So that other people can go, oh, okay, this is like this is normal. This is hyper normal. And now these people have created these safe, soft sanctuaries to land so that I don't have to do it alone. And that was my reason for I couldn't find what I was looking for. So I had to create it. And in the 10 years since that happened, that's been I've actually shared my healing journey, and then by default healed others along the way.
Well, it's funny you should mention that because I think I had a similar experience I talked about at the beginning about a job that I was unhappy in. And I don't know whether it was actually the job or it was more me. And I think I got to I got to my little crisis point where it was like, what am I going to do? And I sought help, which, I've always sought help when I needed it.
Okay, cool.
And the help wasn't what I needed. It was not. I was looking for a coach. Yeah. And the person I was given was sort of just said, I think you should leave your job. Okay with it.
Not so great on the nervous system.
Yeah. Not
yeah.
really. I wanted to keep my job. But yeah, it did open my mind to the fact that was a possibility.
Yeah. But it was what a beautiful seed that was planted, actually I want to meet people with their needs rather than the tick box, the next thing down. And that's what I found when I had my Mac trap moment. I did ask for help, and my needs weren't met. In fact, I felt, and I didn't even know there was such a thing. There was so much I had to learn, but I had backdraft. So I was having my sessions, and then I would leave, and I was literally, like you talked about the wound, I was then just swimming around in the wound without any tools. So that's what I love about when triage visitors here, is that I meet them with their need. And we just start with breadcrumbs, and then I always, and I hand over that radical responsibility to them. So this is why these videos are great. And work with them in partnership, like who did you feel a connection with? And it's amazing. And so they've got a connection already because they've watched this video, felt your energy, heard your story, and like, me too. And I want to walk away with that light feeling that those other people are walking away with. That's what I want. And so then we were able to refer them through that way. And then we can meet them with the next transition. So there might be grief, or there might be motherhood, or there might be a change in job, or a change in health circumstances. And so we can meet them with that next support. Yeah.
Yeah. And what you mentioned, grief comes up a lot, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's a lot of unresolved grief, perhaps, from our experiences. But there's also a term that I've learned a little bit about recently, which is nurse-sensitive traumatization. So nurses are routinely exposed to trauma within their work vicariously, and it just builds up.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So there's a researcher in the States called Laurie Laws, and she's doing a lot of work around that. Yeah.
And I said a lot, and I so celebrate. Like the other day, I had was like 10 a.m. Monday morning, and I'd already referred a teacher and a nurse who had experienced different experiences, but both experienced real-time traumas, and we were able to refer them in real time, so that what those stories and those experiences weren't sitting in their body for a long period of time, and they both went back to work.
Oh wow, that's fantastic.
Yeah. Within a short amount of time. And I just sat there and I just thought, wow, this is why I'm here, is to hyper normalize this sort of work, because we're gonna need lots and lots and lots and lots and lots of people in service, but we've got to make it look really good so that we're not, like you're saying, we're not actually causing more harm than good.
Yeah.
And I've worked with lots of frontline workers who are absolutely riddled in pathogens and viruses as well, that they picked up from their workplace. So we're just forgetting that there's so many things that people are exposed to, and they just sit in the body, and they just wiggle around and they just make a little bit of
Yeah.
messiness inside of us, and that's when we don't show up as our best selves. So it's just really cool to see real time healing of our frontline workers, and then it ripple effects out to those that they support. Yeah.
You and I are both passionate about that. So people.
So passionate. There's no plan B. Yeah.
Whatever.
No, there's no plan B. Oh, thank you so much, Kathy. I so loved catching up with you again, as per usual. If you can share with people how they can find you, and then just something that's coming up in your heart place. It can be something that you're offering within your business, or just something that's just you're feeling really strongly in your heart place.
You'll find me online, Kathy Shaw Coaching. In my heart place, I'm just feeling lots of joy. I feel like I've landed in the perfect place for me in my life, and it's giving me the freedom and to experience life how I really want to as I kind of work towards the end of my career.
Yeah.
And coming out the other side and having fun in retirement, although I don't think I'm going to be giving this work up that soon.
No, I see a lot of, well, I feel like we're aging backwards anyway, so there's that part. But I think we're going to see the wisdom keepers in service for a lot longer than a traditional retirement age. But it won't feel like work. It won't feel like work.
Well,
Yeah.
it never does. It's so it's as I said, it fills me up just as much as it fills up my clients. Yeah.
Oh, that's beautiful. Thanks so much, Kathy. We'll catch up with you soon.
Bye.